otherwise, like, dude, just any nuggets that come from this are going to be captured in any way is worth it for both of us, I think. So, um,
Perfect.
yeah, dude. Well, where are you calling from? Because I try to follow where you're at. I saw like, are you in Montana?
I'm in Montana. I just moved here about a year ago. I'm in this little town called Missoula. Not a ton of people here. It's kind of in the convergence of about five different mountain ranges and three rivers. It's this little valley. Pretty picturesque. Really quiet.
Yeah. What brought you out there?
A woman I met in Colorado,
Uh,
and she got into law school up here. So I quit my job and I followed her, and I'm in the nursing school here in the college at Missoula. So
oh, nice.
always working on something.
Yeah, for sure, man. I can relate to the lady situation. I am currently doing a long distance relationship, if you can call it that, from Chicago to Indianapolis. So I'm back and forth so much. And like the show I played there a couple weeks ago, I got booked for that show because her friend is also a DJ in Chicago and he has like a lot of motion. And I got introduced to him at the festival we went to in June. And we just been talking and so long, so forth. We ended up booking this. He ended up having me out for his show. So it worked out well. But I definitely relate to the follow the girl. I'm probably going to make my way out to Chicago at the spring of next year and move out there.
And that'll be good for the career. I feel like there's a lot of networking opportunities out in Chicago for you. And I was looking forward to that show, but my flight got delayed by 12 hours, dude. I didn't get into like 1 a.m.
Man, you and everybody else, it seems like I follow like a lot of just traveling people who travel, like whether it's other DJs or whatever, and I've been seeing more and more just like stuck in the airport, stuck in the airport. I'm this, I'm that. So it's all good, man. I totally get it. It won't be the last, that's for sure. I'm not sure I'll make
Yeah.
my way out to Montana or not, but I'm not sure.
It might be a minute.
Yeah, dude. Well, just for our sake, like, I mean, I we haven't spent any sort of time together in at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know exactly when we started following each other on social media, even. I noticed you started engaging with my stuff within the last like 6 months, probably. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, dude, just from Bloomington, IU, running around, always like bumping into each other and stuff like that till now. I know a lot has changed for myself. I'm sure a lot has changed for you, and a lot of your like. I'm just curious what you're working on and what you're working towards. You said you were in school in nursing school. You're out in Montana. I know you do martial arts. Like, just give me kind of an overview of like what you're up to and what some of your goals are and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. So the last 5 years or so, I was chasing a career as a first responder. I was doing firefighting, search and rescue, swift water rescue, all that sort of stuff,
Side note: my
EMS
two
work.
best friends are firefighters. Like
Yeah.
Eddie, you
So
know.
you get it. You get it.
Yeah.
It was just a fun career, and I was chasing that around, and just kind of fell in love with the healthcare side of things.
Hmm.
So currently, I'm working in like a hospice clinic, basically for Alzheimer's patients. Just more nursing experience and hands on in the healthcare field as I pursue my RN. I think long term, being a nurse is less rigorous on the body, so my body's gonna hold up. I'm not fighting fires or climbing mountains to rescue people. So that's definitely helping, especially being a martial artist. I'm already taking so much damage on a daily basis, so I don't need to exacerbate that any further. Um, been training martial arts for about 10 years. That started probably about the around the time we started hanging out. I remember summers in Bloomington just running around darting with you and the boys. So it was a good time. But that's when I started doing martial arts. I had been a soccer player since I was about 4 years old to 20. And that was kind of my identity for a while. And my whole social atmosphere. Um, Kind of who I was all just wrapped up in that. And so after I quit, I was looking for some direction and I needed something to do. I kind of jumped into yoga and was doing yoga about 7, 8 hours a week. And that was fun, but it didn't really scratch that itch.
Hmm.
And my buddy, he told me he had been training some jujitsu, and he drugged me into the door. And I felt like I was a fish being dropped into water for the first time, man. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome," and just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Um, just side note here, I also had an experience where just a friend was doing jujitsu and like brought me into his gym for they like had this come for a month as much as you want, as much as you can for free, see if you like it sort of situation. It was at IBJJA, which is the Klingermans. I don't know if you're familiar at all with them.
Yes, I'm very familiar.
So I trained there for a month, and I think I went 5 days every single week. And dude, it was the same thing. I relate so heavily to your story about you were soccer, I was baseball. From the time, like you said, 4 years old enough to pick up a bat and a ball, you know what I mean? That's what
Right.
I did. And so I made a video the other day about just the origin of the Warpath, which we can dive into in a minute. But I just sat down and I was like, I started baseball at 4 years old and I played it until I was 19, and that's literally it. That was the only thing I did. And then after it was over, it was like, now what? You know what I mean? And so I like dove into business and music and tried to like make that my identity, but I was just missing the physical aspect. So that's when I started
Mhm.
really training powerlifting and just got like really deep and involved with that, spending 3 hours a day at the gym and just crushing. Literally, that was the only thing that mattered to me was if I was hitting PRs week by week. That was the only measurement by which I cared of how my life was doing. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
well, like lo and behold, I had to figure out like, okay, other things are important. I can't spend 3 hours in the gym every day. Like I have like family, friends. Also, like if I want to figure out how to, run a business and actually make it in music, I can't spend that much time in the gym. But recently, I've been getting back into it, and dude, it's just like it feels so good to be back and doing something physical that's like putting a lot
Mhm.
of tax and strain on my system that doesn't require so much up here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like the lifting regimen, the sports we played growing up, that kind of gave us a structure and gave us constant goals to work towards. And our reward driven brains, they love that. And I think I saw bits and pieces of that in your Warpath when you first started posting about it. You kind of used the structure you took from the lifting regimen and how you're setting goals and hitting them systematically. And you seem to be applying that to anything and everything, right? And I found that really attractive about the Warpath, and that's kind of when I started looking into your stuff a little bit more and really relating to it.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate that first and foremost. My whole philosophy was kind of wrapped up in my identity, which was like I sat down one day, probably 9 or so months ago. It was in November of last year, and I lit a cigar. I sat down with my laptop, and I just needed to figure out like there was certain situations in my life that I was unsatisfied with, like my financial situation. Just like I wasn't making as much progress in business and my career in music as I wanted to, and I just felt like I was lacking that structure or that um, tangible way to measure if I was like doing well, And so I
Mhm.
sat down with Chat GPT and I just like, dude, I fed it as much as I could. I told it life story, I told it ambitions, goals, the like philosophies, everything that I've gathered from reading books, from talking to other people who I view as like mentors and peers, and I just sort of came to this uh, I just gathered that like what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to be is like a modern day Renaissance man. Like I look
Yeah.
up to the people in history who did something physical with their body, something intellectual with their mind, and something creative. And then also like we're able to funnel those things into a business. And so I came up with this idea of like the modern day Renaissance man, and I worked with that and I chiseled away at that, but it still wasn't like the philosophy was there, but I didn't have like
Mhm.
a day by day structure or just a system, if you will, for executing and really living that identity. I was kind of stuck in this daily sort of rat race still of like I would wake up and be like, okay, I can do so many things today. I can train my body, I can work on music, I can try to like build my business, I can do all these things. And it was just like this really haphazard way of living. And with that, it was like the results were also varied. And I really just wanted to get to the point where I could measure tangible results in those three areas specifically: my body, my business, and my craft. And that's where the Warpath kind of originated from. At the time, I was reading two books. It was Atomic Habits by James Clear and Deep Work by Cal Newport. And those
Mhm.
have been kind of my two books that The War of Art as well, by Stephen Pressfield. That's where I got the whole like going pro kind of idea. And so like the whole idea of the Warpath is like helping creative warriors go pro. And
Mhm.
so and being a pro is just an ideal. It doesn't necessarily mean professional. It just means like showing up as a professional. You know what I mean? But yeah, those two books, Deep Work and Atomic Habits. So Atomic Habits kind of got me back into just habit tracking in general, and then Deep Work kind of got me into this philosophy of like, instead of just sitting down to work or working on what feels right or what I woke up and had an idea to work on today, what if I can create a system around, um, first and foremost, like what are my goals? And I have three massively transformative purposes that I shoot. I'm shooting for, right. If by the end of my time here, if I can make music that has a deep impact, if I can study and progress the yeah, just the study of creativity and sharing that with others. And then the third one is inspiring strong, capable men. And that's really where the Warpath is like where I'm most excited, is like helping other men and like inspiring um, guys like yourself to just like find discipline and identity and momentum, execution, all these things. Um, and so those two books tied in with like everything I was already doing just helped me realize like, okay, I actually can structure all of this in a way that allows me to um, sort of decide on two different ideas. I can be in a season of extreme focus on one area, which would be either my body, my business, or my craft, or I can take this sort of like multi-discipline approach and each day work on one of those with extreme focus while maintaining the others. And
Mhm.
through just chipping away at habit tracking and working in those three areas, I was able to put together the Warpath. And so what you see now is Warpath 2.0 is like the content I've been creating and stuff like that, because Warpath 1.0 was the last 6 months of me just doing it myself. I don't
Beta testing.
Yeah, dude, like I refuse to go to market or to even have a conversation with someone and share something that I haven't like tested myself and like made it to where um, I'm not speaking on theory. I want to speak from experience and share like real insights.
Mhm.
I feel like that's like a big component of this, is that I've been living it for 10 years, but I've only been calling it the Warpath for the last 6 months, and that's where the most progress has been made for me personally in all three areas, but also with the system and with what you see as the Warpath now.
Yeah, dude. I think having systems like that are great, especially the Warpath kind of um, gives you targets to aim at and compartmentalizes things, so it's not so much of biting off more than you can chew. It's incremental success. And like you said, I think experience is the golden standard. So beta testing that out for yourself and then being able to work out the kinks is great. I feel I feel like the Warpath is kind of, I mean, you see it in a lot of things. People just don't have a name for it,
Sure.
right? And um, that's what I found about martial arts. Starting jujitsu is if I want to be good at something, I got to be okay with first being bad at it.
Mm.
But there are ways I can facilitate growth and kind of um, define success for myself, and then reach those goals after setting them. I just think you put a name to everything, and um, I think that's really important when you're trying to be intentional. Like you said, um, you had 10 years of living this out, and then you just started labeling it and putting names to things, and that's when you start to see real progress. That's when you can track things, and um, I see a lot of that in the way you put out music and you put out your um, all your content online, man. Everything's very intentional. You guys are um, making some moves, man. Making some big moves. Excited to see what comes of it.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, man. Because to be honest, for like what you said about being bad first and being okay with that is, I call it same philosophy. I just call it now, not how, or I don't even call it that. I adopted that mentality
Mhm.
from. I'm blanking on his name right now, but I just started reading this book called $1 Million Weekend, and basically this guy's like built 8 different companies to over 1 million, and he wrote this book, and basically like just the whole premise is like, what can you do right now where you don't need to go learn anything more, uh, you don't need to do anything other than what you can do right now. And I had been doing that for a while, but I didn't call it that. You know what I mean? I just, like you said, I was just okay with being bad first and working towards improvement. And
Mhm.
to be honest, like, at, as someone who, I'm sure you can relate to this too, man. Like, just being a high performer, like, I pick up on things really quickly. And, like, most things in life for me that I either enjoyed or that I spent my time doing, I was naturally good at, whether that was like sports or like math in school, like just things that like we are naturally drawn to, is we're usually good at them. But once I got into the world of music and growing my artist career and like posting content online, all these things, like, dude, I was not natural at any of that. And it really is a testament of just like being willing to not just suck but also be seen sucking.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me, is like I've posted videos that got 100 views, or um, I ran into a buddy during the Pacers finals run. I was downtown. I ran into him at just one of the bars, and he, dude, this I'm never gonna forget this. He came up to me and was like, "Oh man, and he's always shown love, always been like, we've been cordial, like it's good people." And
Mhm.
he's from my hometown, and he was like, man, like, I see you doing your thing, like, don't worry about what people are saying about you, or like something along the line. He was like basically
Hey.
making it seem like people like from that he was still hanging out with from our hometown were like noticing what I was doing and being like, what the fuck is he up to, like, who does he think he is or whatever. And I thought about it for a minute, and at first I was like, damn, bro, like, I definitely haven't like made it by any means, but I'm like proud of the progress I've made. But I just wondered, like, what are people saying about like what I'm doing? If and then I just had to like reframe it to like, first of all, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mhm.
I naturally do care what people think. Like, I'm just that type of person. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, if they're hating or if they're like not sure, I mean, people in my life, like my family, my friends, even my girlfriend, like, they don't always understand like what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
that is like even more motivation to make it happen. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you can relate to that at all.
Dude, totally. I mean, making music and putting your stuff out there, it can be ego crushing. You know, you're putting a part of your soul out there to be examined by potentially millions of strangers,
Yeah.
which is nerve wracking. And then having to take feedback sometimes I struggle with that. But my first day in a jujitsu class, you're a college dude. Everyone thinks they're tough.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they can fight. I walk in and I got folded into a pretzel by a girl half my size, and
Yep.
that's when I knew I'm I'm not all that I think I am, and I gotta figure my shit out. But my buddy told me, hey, if, in 10 years we're gonna be somebody. If you keep coming back to class, you're gonna be a black belt,
Mm.
and that stuck with me. It's consistency over time, and that's one thing I see with your music and the Warpath is setting daily goals that build up over time. You're going to be bad at the beginning. You're going to be a white belt at the beginning. You have to be okay with that, and figuring out that learning process and how to facilitate growth and manifest your fullest potential as a black belt or as a professional music producer or what have you. It's just being bad at first, but doing small steps every day, those atomic habits, until it can, accrue enough interest. And then you're a black belt. I mean, it sounds easier than it actually is, but it's
Yeah,
it's a
well,
lot of physical trauma.
yeah, no, for sure. What I experience emotionally with releasing music, you probably experience physically with getting beat up every day.
Yes.
So where you've
And
been doing this for a while, like like are you a black belt yet or what?
so it takes on average about 12 to 14 years to get a black belt in
Hmm.
jiu-jitsu, which is the belt system in jiu-jitsu is completely different from taekwondo, karate, whatever. It takes years at each belt to progress, just because it's such an intricate art, um, and it's really all about hands-on experience, right? There's no karate chopping boards in half to get your next belt. You have to go and prove it against somebody else who is that belt.
Sure.
So there's really no faking. There's nothing to hide behind. So right now I'm a brown belt. I am the last belt before getting black. I'm instructing at a school down the street. I'll be teaching a class later. I do that a couple times a week. I'm in there training as often as I can. I had a brief professional career, if you will, um, but there's not a whole lot of money in professional jiu-jitsu, and there is a whole lot of getting your ass beat. And so I had to weigh the costs, and then I figured, it'd be better to find something more professional, make my mom happy. She didn't like watching me wrestle other dudes in a cage in my underwear. So,
Sure. Yeah,
right?
I get
There's
that.
better things to be doing.
Yeah, no, that's interesting though that I bet you're proud that you gave it a shot and at least you did it, and now you know. Like you said you made like a conscious decision, you weighed out the options and like that's better, I think, than never doing it in the first place and always wondering what if.
No doubt, no doubt. And I can still train every day. And that learning process that I've taken away from jujitsu in the past decade, I can apply that anywhere in my life. It's kind of like a personal warpath. So I'm interested to see how our perspectives kind of coalesce. But it's been fantastic and it's invaluable. I feel like I've relearned how to learn things, and so now anything is it's much easier to break down into bite-sized pieces and digest.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think same for me it was music production, but same thing. That was like the first time in my life where I had to actually learn how to learn and that's a real skill, man. Like
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like being able to understand how you learn versus, how someone else learns or how you learn versus how someone may teach or finding mentors and stuff like that is a huge component of not just music, not just martial arts, but anything in life that anyone either listening to this or would want to achieve at any sort of goal. It's going to require you to gain skills and learn new things that you didn't know how to do before. And if you struggle to learn new things, the first thing you have to figure out is how to learn, you know?
yeah. and how to deal with failure. I mean, the whole learning process is just
That too.
failure after failure, and when people don't understand that, they get extremely discouraged by failures. But now, after failing so much, it's like it's kind of pointing me in the direction of what needs fixed, and that's there's nothing more valuable than that.
Yeah, and now you say you teach some classes, some jujitsu classes.
Yeah, so there's in jiu-jitsu it's separated into two main schools. There's gi jiu-jitsu and no gi. The
Yep.
gi is just the traditional like kimono looking thing.
Yep.
Um, so we do 2 days of each a week. So there's 4 days of jiu-jitsu classes you can be in there for. I specialize in no gi.
Mm,
So there's not a lot of like grip fights and stuff. So I teach an advanced no gi class at a place called Trap House. Shout out Trap House Jiu-Jitsu.
dude, I
It's
love
a
that.
underground fight club. It is the coolest place I've ever been here in the mountains of Montana. Definitely a second home. Only been there a year. Really love the dudes. I've learned so much. It's a tough room, you know. I've been to several different schools in several different states, and there's always, at least one black belt or one brown belt, someone who's super experienced. They're going to crush the room. But it's nice to have that one person to look up to and to learn from constantly. I've seen, rooms with 3 or 4 black belts, and I thought that's mind blowing to have that many
Yeah.
masters here. Uh, Trap House has 5 black belts, 11 brown belts. It's the toughest room I've ever been in. I'm never the best guy in the room. There's always someone to learn from, I'm getting crushed on a daily basis and like finding joy in that failure. Um, and just having other, strong men that are working hard towards the same goal. Um, it's iron sharpens iron, It's been fantastic for personal growth.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That just that little story you're giving about being in room with those that caliber of like just other men basically reminds me of there's like this philosophy of the rule of thirds. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's basically the idea is you want to split the time you spend with people who are where you've been, people who are where you are at, and people who are where you want to go. 33% each, so one third at each clip. And just hearing you talk about like also like teaching and also being in a room with people who are like further than you, but then also being in a room with people who are at the same level as you. In this case, belts. It that philosophy holds true for you. It sounds like.
Yeah, you're gonna experience more growth if you're being challenged more often, right? There's no growth in comfort. I always say comfort is a slow death. If you're the best guy in every room you're at, you're gonna get better, but very slowly. If you surround yourself with killers, you're gonna get a lot better, a lot quicker. Because they're always working on new techniques. They're always it really holds true for a room full of massive yoked guys who are trying to strangle you. You have to learn to survive and you have to adapt quickly. So if you're constantly doing that, your progress is just going to skyrocket.
Yeah, I actually love that about um, combat sports in particular, which is that you are forced to level up. Like it's do or die. I mean, obviously it's training. It's you respect one another, but at the end of the day, like you're in there for a reason. And
Mhm.
you're either gonna make it shake or not. You know what I mean? And I think
Yeah, dude, it's real sink or swim. I've been stuck in those spots where like I can tap to get out, but there's a moment where this thought goes through my head. This is what dying feels like. I've tried everything. I'm stuck. If this were anywhere else but a training room, I'd be dead.
mm,
So you definitely have to adapt, and yeah, the physical consequences are real. But I've never found something that pulls you like it demands your attention in the moment. It demands flow state, and that's where I find that feels like worship to me. That's
for sure.
that's where the love is. That's where the passion comes from, and I think finding activities that make that readily accessible to me, that flow state, if that's within reach, those are the activities I'm drawn to. Being a first responder, snowboarding, I'm sure making music is like that, where you get in the zone and it's coming off the top, man. It's not even of this world. It's just like you're channeling some other energy. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. The quote is that when you're in a state of creation, it's the closest you are to God. You know what I mean? It's like
Damn,
whatever that
yeah.
means to whoever might be listening, whether that's the universe, God, Creator, energy source, whatever. And I think like so my thing right now is like I'm trying to coin the term creative warrior. I don't know if someone else created it. I don't know if it's out there, but like for the inside the universe of the Warpath, like a creative warrior are athletes, artists, and founders. So athletes, that's anyone who's participating in sports. Artists, anyone who's creating music or physical art or just any sort of art form. And then founders are people who are starting businesses, building personal brands, posting content, sharing messages, stuff like that. And they're all the same.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of things that draw from. You mentioned flow state, right? Like that's something that I have studied a ton of. I even went through an 8 week flow research collective, which is Stephen Kotler. Are you familiar with Stephen Kotler?
Hmm.
Dude, the book The Art of Impossible, you have got to check that out. Do you like to read?
I do, man. I read a lot. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, do that for 1 sec. I'm going to reset my camera here so that it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Art of Impossible by Stephen Kotler. Dude, you're going to it for a while it was my favorite book. I like kind of have like a rotating five of just like books that are I just read so often, go back through like
Mhm.
I'll be like riding my penny board around the neighborhood, or I go back and forth to Chicago a ton. I'm audiobooking, I'm listening like the Art of Impossible. I have the physical copy, and I've also got it downloaded on Audible, and I
Mhm.
revisit that book so often. It's Stephen Kotler is the world's leading flow state, flow science. He's the best. Like it doesn't get much better than that. And the whole idea of impossible is basically just achieving things that no one has ever done before. That's like capital I impossible. And then lowercase I impossible is achieving things that you may have never thought you'd be capable of. Like becoming a
Mhm.
black belt 10 years ago was a lowercase impossible for you. You know what I mean? And the book is like a it's a playbook, dude. Like it is actionable. There's like the first part where it's like real sciencey. Like this dude is like way smarter than everyone. And then there's like the step by step guide that's like the second half of the book, and I spend a lot of time in that, um, more than the first half. But yeah, dude, you're speaking about flow state, and like you have like you're just gonna love it. And he started in extreme sports, so like his whole story started with him following around uh, snowboarders, base jumpers, like people who are doing big wave surfers, like people who are
Mhm.
tackling feats that um, shouldn't be possible. You know what I mean? And he was finding that extreme sports athletes were breaking the veil on what was formerly viewed as humanly possible on a daily basis. And he was just like, how is this happening? So he got really involved in just like studying these guys, and basically he came to the realization that flow state is the reason why extreme sports athletes are making so much more progress than like you know basketball, football, like just other sports. Like they're not redefining what's impossible every single day like
Mhm.
extreme sports athletes are. And so that's like his background. You're gonna really like it. But anyway, dude, yeah.
Sounds thick. I'll definitely give it a read. And like I was saying, those extreme sports, those are the activities that demand your attention in the moment. They demand that you're present. And that's what I see in the warpath is being present with your goals and your process. Right. So everything is just sitting with yourself, being present and meditating on what you want before you go and apply this knowledge. Like the first half of that book, you're saying he gets scientific. That's the knowledge, and then there's the application. People always say knowledge is power, but without application, knowledge is useless, man.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
useless.
Dude, I am for the record, I am so happy we are having this conversation right now. It is so refreshing to speak with someone who gets it, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term. Like I don't get this that often. And if the Warpath does nothing else but get me in the room or get me in the opportunity to have conversations with other people who get it, then it is doing everything I could ask for from it.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving these people opportunity to manifest their fullest potential, but at the same time, you're creating a community, and that's where the most growth happens. You know, all that support, being able to bounce ideas off each other, and just talking with people who get it is like practicing your thoughts. You know, you're getting them out there, you're kind of organizing them in a way, and it's really invaluable. You know, your friends are the future. That's your future. Who said? I don't know who said that, but they said, "Show me your friends, your five closest friends. I'll show you the future." And it's just really all about who you surround yourself with. You know, in the gym, in the production lab, wherever you're at, wherever you're working, whatever art that is. And if you're a Renaissance man or a creative warrior, it's going to be everywhere, every aspect.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate how I can tell you're a good listener because like so many times already in this conversation you've like referred to like the details, and I really appreciate someone who is attentive to detail because I am probably too detail oriented sometimes. But yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, dude.
Well, cool, dude. Let's
Oh
do this
man.
for a little bit. I Something that you said either today or the other day that interested me was you were like, "Hey, let me check out the program because I've been working for years on like my own systems, my own habits, my own philosophy, stuff like that." Tell me a little bit about what you are doing now that like if the warpath didn't exist, like what would have been your warpath, like what would be kind of some of the things that you like to do either on a daily basis, week by week. You can this you have free reign to answer this question however you feel suited.
Okay. I think we have a very similar origin story for our warpaths. I called mine the master work, just becoming the master of myself.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, just waking up and realizing I have all this unfulfilled potential, and you know, I can pour it into any of these things. I just need some direction. And I was reading Atomic Habits as well at that time, and just seeing how he builds the structure around his days. And so I started doing that. I keep like a daily list. I picked, you know, three areas in my life where I really want to see growth. And then I broke down three different activities I need to do daily for each of those. So daily, I have a list. I read, write, and then I speak my affirmations.
Hmm.
I ground, stretch, and then I meditate to clear the mind. I'll commune or pray um, to any of your spiritual followers, whatever practice you have that connects you with the source. I'll trigger my body. It's just exercising, and then I gotta exercise my dogs. I make a daily list there, and then under that I'll have a list of what needs done today. That's more mundane stuff like chores, etc.
Sure.
And then I'll have a weekly list of things I need, and those will make their way up onto the list for today. But I've been doing that for a long time, and it just those three things for each of those sections. If I do those daily, they're going to build on each other. And at the end of the year, I will have so much experience doing that. And I realized if I start my day with that every day, I have an enormously better day. I'm far more productive and I get a lot more done. And I just feel much better about myself. But without that structure, it kind of falls apart. Like if I'm on vacation or the week after vacation, it really falls apart. But just organizing my time that way and my effort and just really putting a lot of emphasis on my own personal growth, it makes me better for all the people around me as well. So I just been doing that I have journals for years now. Every day I just try to write that list out, and that's how I won the day, dude. That's why when I saw you doing that warpath, I was like, hey, this guy, he gets it, and he's organizing it, and he's putting a name to it, and he's putting it out there for people. So that's when I knew I had to reach out and connect, man.
Dude, I have chills right now. Like I cannot make this up. Like I feel like I'm looking at a legitimate mirror. Like it's the same thing, dude. Like
Bro,
literally, It is is it a bullet journal?
No, it's not. That'd be wild.
Yeah, it would be, but it doesn't matter. But dude, like literally, like just same thing. This is 2 days out. This is last October. You know what I mean? And um, just the way that well, I even have something about. I just turned to a page about something with jujitsu because I like just for so that you're aware. Like I have also the goal of getting serious about training. I have for a while with jujitsu since it. I went for a month and I was like, dude, this is something that this is calling me. I belong here. It's fun. I was progressing really quickly. For someone who just went in the gym for the first time. The only problem was there's definitely a financial sort of obstacle when it comes like those gyms are expensive to go to, and also the commitment and just like where I was at in my life, like I couldn't commit to it, you know what I mean, and like I wanted to. um but that it's just funny that I turned to a page that had something about like having the goal of achieving a black belt in this conversation when this is the most random thing. But dude, yeah, like you're already doing everything that I do, that I teach. Like, I honestly don't think there's any discourse between how we think or how we operate, to be honest with you. I was gonna ask you some questions about like, hey man, like out of everything I'm doing, like what do you think you could adopt? Or like are the things that you've seen that I'm doing that you're not doing? And I'm not sure there's that much of a gap between the Warpath and your own self mastery system as there is. Which, like attracts like. It makes sense for you to see like what I was doing, what I've been posting, and like reach out and like us to get on this phone call together. But dude, I got chills listening to you talk about that because I'm like, like this is not normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not
We're
at
the outliers for sure. This is definitely not something that interests everybody. You seem like the kind of mind to gravitate towards things like this and systemize things. And I feel like you have the mind for jujitsu. You would really latch onto that if you ever got into it. But I think one really important thing the Warpath is going to bring to my life is that community aspect, being around people of the like mind, but um, different spheres of mastery, right? You guys have different crafts, but they all coalesce. They all have the same principles. So just being able to bounce ideas off people like that and being able to motivate each other is going to be invaluable. So I'm super excited to be a part of this and just seeing that you were gathering, the outliers. I was stoked for that. It's definitely something I got to be a part of.
Yeah, dude. Like I hope you're okay with seeing my face a lot because at this point, like, uh, it's going to be hard to keep me out of your inbox, off your FaceTime, all these things because I'm just like, you said it earlier, iron sharpens iron, man. And like, by nothing, what I never wanted this to be and what this is not is like me being on top of some hill talking down or anything like that. This is really me just kind of resonating at a certain frequency and drawing the magnetism for people like you and other, like, dude, I can't wait to see how many other like-minded people that start to just join this community and be a part of this, and whether they like specifically join the Warpath or like take the 30-day challenge or work with me one-on-one. Just being a part of the community is like something that I have always, whether it was team sports or at the gym or whatever, you know what I mean? And now with music, just like other people that I'm working around and working with and stuff, like the community aspect, relationship is really what it's all about, man. And like, I am so stoked to see what's going to come from this for both of us.
Yeah, dude. And like you said, that rule of thirds, man, you're resonating in that area where you've had the experience with the warpath. You're sharing it with the people that where you were, that are, the people that have yet to find that path. And like you said, you're not looking for some sort of hierarchical structure where you're sitting at the top. It's like you've done this. You're surrounding yourself with people who are doing this, and we're gonna help some other men find the same path,
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Absolutely. Yeah, so dude, my goal is, and I don't have a time frame on this yet, but I kind of just put by the end of the year. I don't even know if that's reasonable or possible. It doesn't matter, but I want to have 500. I'm saying men, women can do this too, man. It's just like I kind of teeter between like I'm a man and like the way that I like think and the way I speak and the just the sort of energy that I put out there is definitely a lot more attractive to other men. Plus,
Yeah.
women are just different, man. Like they really are. They're great for the things that they can do and the things that they want to do and stuff like that. But like my goal is to get to help 500 men just achieve on the warpath.
Mhm.
That's like my first. I wrote that down yesterday. Getting 10,000 followers on the Warpath, which is the Instagram account I created. Getting 500 email subscribers, which is also going to be kind of in alignment with getting 500 people on the Warpath. And then using this Discord server as I called it the Vanguard because it's like the knights on the front line. You know what I mean? Like the creative warriors
Yeah, dude.
who are not who they're not sitting in the back, watching everybody commanding. Like we're actually doers. You know what I mean? We're on the front line. We're going to war, and yeah, you're definitely a member of the Warpath, of the Vanguard, of the Creative Warrior community, and I'm just glad to have you, bro.
Me, I'm stoked to be a part of it. It was really great connection with you again, and I'm sure we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, we will. I'll be in touch, man. Like I said, we'll figure something out. Like this is growing so fast. Daily there's things that I'm discovering or that I'm creating that I'll just be sharing and probably bouncing ideas off of you as well, getting feedback, and just I guess what I want to say is as much of a part of this as you want to be, you are welcome.
Fantastic, man. I'm going to dive in head first. There's a lot I can learn from just how you kind of grow your social media. I do a lot of video editing stuff. I've been doing that since like 2005, but I run the Jiu Jitsu Trap House page,
Mm.
constantly putting stuff out and just like having to produce like visual and auditory art. So I feel like you have a lot of experience and knowledge in that sphere and growing a platform. So super excited to learn more about that and continue to bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah, let's really dive into that. I was not aware that you were running that page, and like also aside from the Trap House, it's called Trap House. What's the name again? Just so I have it.
Trap House Jiu Jitsu.
Okay, perfect. And then what's the at on Instagram?
It's at Trap House BJJ. I'll shoot you over some stuff if you want to share it. It's been working with Premiere Pro for the first time, and it's a whole nother beast, man.
Yeah, well, dude,
Whole nother beast. But trying to throw some cool stuff together and just some visually pleasing stuff, get people in. We're trying to draw people to the sport, draw people to the gym, and kind of share the same path. It's such a great vehicle for finding who you are and who you want to become, and then reaching that.
yeah, dude, there's so much alignment there with what I'm doing and what you're looking to achieve with that we'll figure something out, like how we'll work together on that project specifically. But I'm definitely interested in helping you, in that specific area.
Fantastic, dude. I really appreciate it. But hey, man, my hour is up. I got to go teach some class. But it was great talking to you.
Yeah, likewise, bro. Yeah, this has been such a pleasure, bro. I'm really excited. I'll be in touch. We'll get some things moving.
Perfect. I'll be looking out for it, man. Have a good one.
Peace, bro. You too.